single previous event of Ding Liren ever since he won the World Chess Championship match. He's got the black pieces today against Magnus Carlsen, and while their round 1 game against each other was very peaceful, they made a draw on move 14, and the match was only decided in Armageddon. I think Magnus is going into this game thinking very differently. 5 rounds have passed, and 5 rounds show who is in form. Unfortunately for Ding, it's 3 consecutive losses in classical chess, and he will need to stop the bleeding somehow. To hear his thoughts, and he even had a moment a few rounds ago where he discovered a line in his calculation. It hit him in the confessional booth. So it actually was this moment of realization and enlightenment that a line that he thought was okay against Hikaru Nakamura in fact wasn't okay, and he noticed it as he was talking about it in the confessional. We discussed this already, like how useful it seems to be that you can speak your mind, you can express your thoughts in words, and we saw how it actually is like sometimes the way for them to discover something even deeper than what they thought of the line or calculation, the analysis they had in mind.
Yeah, it's really nice to see players like Prag go into the confessional, even if he was struggling like he was the other day against Hikaru. This position, however, I don't think will go from the start. This game began life as a Queen's Gambit accepted, but this current position, there's a tactic in the air, and I wonder whether Alireza is going to go for it. A lot of calculation might be required. Loose pieces drop off, as they say, loose pawns drop off, and here white can target both of them. There's a knight on c6, there's a pawn on h7 that's only defended once. If you start with the move queen to c2, you might well just walk into a knight jump. I'm expecting the move knight to b4 here, attacking the white queen and attacking the white bishop. You can win a pawn temporarily, but you better be careful that your bishop doesn't get trapped here. I wonder whether the move g6 will be played. Maybe there's something even stronger, but here white would be forced to sacrifice his bishop for some pawns, so this needs to be evaluated. I was going to say, if you do flip the move order in the game position, not only is queen c2 available, attacking this, but tactics often work in 2 different orders, one often stronger than the other. Bishop takes h7, I'm wondering about as well, with a check, luring the king out, and now queen c2 check, hits the king, hits the knight, wins a pawn, and this would be the position Alireza has to evaluate.
But it's still wild, even if he gets it right, you win the pawn, but who's better here? Right?
Yeah.
Black is the bishop pair.
Black has a beautiful knight on d5 as well, and a passed a pawn.
Yeah. It feels like black is up a pawn, like honestly,
Yes.
because
It does look
the
like
pawns
it.
on d4 and e5 are stuck where they stand by the knight on d5, and that h pawn is irrelevant until the end of the game. Like if you get to the end of the game, like maybe there's some extra way to use it, but the bishop pair and the pawn, you love seeing the dynamic compensation there, and even the computer agrees. But it would be wild. Speaking of wild, Magnus Carlsen has made his first trip to the confessional booth. We're going to have that at the break. So a good reminder to
natural move here just to defend his pawn, and Black's minor pieces are so strong. The pawn on e5 could be edible at some point. And it looks like Pragg should be able to hold this one. I'm not going to say 2-result game, it could still turn in any direction, but it looks like it's in the balance as we approach the time scramble.
I think so. I think that Pragg has really good chances, and if we recall his game against Hikaru Nakamura, where we thought he was gonna be like resigning shortly after he went he sacrificed a piece, but there was not enough compensation for it because he missed a key move. So he was down a piece, and then he went on to play for another like 2 hours, defending tenaciously in an endgame that he almost saved.
He almost saved it. In fact, if he hadn't walked into the mating net on the second to last move, it wasn't necessarily clear that Hikaru had seen the winning plate at the time. I think he probably would have found it, but there was time pressure, and anything could have happened. So yeah, Pragg is tenacious, as you said. He's defended this one. I don't even think he's worse here. Question is Firouzja going to look to simplify and welcome the Armageddon take on d5? Okay, I'm not saying that's exactly welcoming the Armageddon, but when you put that bishop on d5 and it has the potential to go to b3 at some point, and I don't know, just given the time pressure, kind of the body language or the way he took the knight, I felt like he was like, all right, I think I'm going for something simple, not playing knight d3 or something else, for example, and keeping the bishops on the board. So I think this one will head to Armageddon, and that Pragg has successfully held what at one point looked like a very dangerous position and an attack for Firouzja.
Yeah, interesting that Pragg thinks right now taking this knight just looks forced. Maybe he's trying to calculate what will happen after the white rook slides up to b4 to try to corral this passed pawn. At the very minimum, as you mentioned, Danny, just in that position, Black can take on e5. This looks like it's headed towards a draw. Firouzja should bail out here and now before it's too late, before the black bishops take over, and yeah, this one almost guaranteed to be Armageddon at this point. You mentioned, Anna, he was defending tenaciously in the other game. I thought you said Tenacious D in the other game. This
Tenacious
one.
D is Tenacious defense. But yeah, I don't know what happened here with... this is not a Tenacious D tribute show. It is a tribute to the greatest Tenacious D show. No, I don't know. But we've got Tenacious D on the brain here for some reason. He's pragmatic. He's practical. And he's practically impossible to beat these days. The kid is amazing, and we'll see what happens in Armageddon. Remember, in round 1, Pragg defeated Alireza Firouzja in Armageddon and flagged him. It was a crazy game. Pragg was better on the board, so we shouldn't totally paint that storyline. But it was a dirty flag in the end.
It's true. One of the craziest Armageddon games we've seen this entire tournament. So a lot to look forward to there for all of our viewers. The reason we're writing this off as a likely draw is because when Black's a-pawn disappears, the e-pawn disappears, his only pawn's on one flank. Black's light square bishop so strong, just cemented on that d5 square. It's hard to imagine white ever creating any winning chances. No pass pawn potential for either side. Draw.